Here is the work for today's lesson. To begin with, you need to go to your my blog, which is in your favourites, and read the text here. We're going to be introducing something called HTML coding. First thing you're going to do is click this link here, which will take you to this document called Website Review. To download this to your documents, you have to press this button here and then save it into your documents. Then you can start working on it. First thing you've got to do is go to one of your favourite websites. I've clicked this very popular website, Amazon, which I'm sure you know, and you're going to have a look at the layout, the different menus, the different sections, and then you're going to fill in this sheet about the first impressions that you have when you go on the website, the presentation of the website, how it's laid out and how you can navigate between the different sections, what kind of content is on the website, how easy is it to use, and whether, if it's your first time on the website, whether you would go and visit that website again. Finally, you're going to suggest ways that you think the website could be improved. Once you've filled out all those boxes, you need to save that into your documents and move on to the next task. And once again, go to my blog for this, and then you'll click on Tutorial 1, which will take you here. Now, HTML coding is the coding that goes behind a website. Now, here's our blog, and I'm going to show you what it looks like when I start writing the blog. I get this screen here, so you've got the same text and the same links, but I can add stuff to it by typing like this. Now then, each website that you have has HTML coding on the background. So if I press this button here, this is what the code looks like in the background of the website. Very complicated, but when it goes through, it looks like this. So that, in essence, is HTML coding, which you're going to learn a little bit about now. So on my blog, once you click this, you get to this HTML tutorial here. Now, to start working on this, you need to use Notepad. You get to Notepad by going here, All Programs, Accessories, and there's Notepad. And Notepad is this here, and you can type your instructions onto Notepad like this. Now then, you must type the instructions exactly as it says on here, exactly. Don't try and copy and paste this because it won't work. You have to type it in and do it exactly the same. If you do one thing wrong, even if it's one space wrong, it won't work. All you have to do is follow each instruction one by one, and it should work. If it hasn't worked, it's because you have done something slightly incorrect. Now, what you'll be able to do is to start making your own website using HTML coding. You'll then be able to go on to change the background color if you want to, or change the color of the text, or change some text to bold. What I want you to do is experiment on Notepad and start to build your own website. This one's called Your Favorite Movie, where you can maybe do information about your favorite movie, or you could do it on, say, a football team or something like that. It really doesn't matter what you start making your website on. If you manage to work through all of these, you can go on to the next tutorial here, which takes you to this one. And on this, you can insert to your website internal hyperlinks. Now, internal hyperlinks are links to other websites that you have made, or you can link to external hyperlinks, which are links like, in this instance, Cineworld, and you could link to the Cineworld website. The final thing you can do is add images to your website by using this coding here. Now, I don't expect anyone to get anywhere near to this section in one lesson, so this work should last us for 1, 2, possibly 3 lessons, but you can work at your own pace and work through each of the tutorials after you've finished this website review. The final thing I need to tell you about before you start doing this as well is that when you build your own website, you need to create in your documents something called a root directory. So you go into your documents, and probably you should put this in your ICT folder and make a new folder called root folder. Now, in that root folder, you should have another folder called images. Also in that root folder, you should have another folder called scripts. So if I go to my documents here, you can see that in my documents I have a root folder there, and if I click on the root folder, I've got images, scripts, and a website that I started making called My Favourite Things, which if I double click on, it takes you to a website, a very basic one that I started to make using that coding that you're going to use this lesson. Good luck, and see how far you can get.